Hello and welcome to Base Plate Reviews. So today we've got a bit of a city update, more of a construction update, and I expect you can guess where that is. It's going to be the Chinatown section of the city. We've actually got three problems we need to solve. Two of them are definitely very solvable, one of them's a bit trickier, but in terms of problems I don't have, that's having enough great sets. We've got lots of actual official Lego sets here, rather than mocks. So Ninjago City Gardens at the back, the family reunion celebration, the Monkey Kid set that I've just built just over here, City of Lanterns, we've got Spring Lantern Festival there, the Downtown Noodle Shop, and we've also got tons of minifigs thanks to all of those sets, and also some of the other Lunar New Year sets as well. So pretty stocked there. We'll want to do some modifications to these sets, definitely bulking up that noodle shop, and also enclosing the family reunion celebration, the Chinese restaurant. But in terms of the problems that we've got, one of them's the tricky one, and that's that we've built on these IKEA boxes, but as I said, I think in a previous video, this is actually pretty springy when I press here on these kind of raised bits. I can't build directly onto the boxes just because I need enough clearance for the tunnel. And not sure if that's going to be solvable. In terms of if I really wanted to solve it, I think I'd have to get rid of the IKEA boxes full stop and go for something more like these kind of structural elements that you can see in the Monkey Kid set. So I could raise up whole sections. It would give me a bit more, it would be a bit more hollow underneath, but probably a bit stronger. It's definitely tricky in terms of springiness to attach plates on top of these parts, so yeah, a bit tricky, but one of those things. The other thing that I need are more parts, because I need to build up this cobbled road, and that does need to be kind of a dark grey underneath it. At the moment I've got some bright blue and some green just sat over there in terms of plates for the roads, but that's just really temporary, just so I can balance some stuff on there. And that problem is a bit tricky because I was hoping to get some double VIP points, double insiders points with the latest Lego sale, but I think we all saw it was pretty restrictive. It was only on certain themes that you were getting double points, and I couldn't order parts and do that. So yeah, not ideal, but one of those things. That's definitely solvable. So we'll need to order some more of these kind of plates, these 16 by 16 plates. And also just various other parts as well. But the third thing is actually, the third problem is, of course, at the moment, the facades are looking as ugly as can be. So these just white all the way along there, and we really need to get those covered up. So what I'm going to do is just show you a few of the options that I've got. The option I think I'm going to go for, and then we'll take a look at that and how I construct that. So for these facades, we've got a few different options. We could go for something as simple as just a brick built. I know it's all bricks, it's Lego, but just 1 by bricks. And obviously we need to come up a bit higher than that. But just to cover the whole lot, light bluish grey, it would probably look perfectly acceptable. I think that a way we can do that a bit better is using masonry bricks, or at least a combination of regular and masonry bricks. And I think you can see if we put that there, definitely looks a bit better. I've also used some snot bricks, or stud snot on top bricks, and that meant that we can add some kind of detailing. That could be posters. I've used some greenery here, but you know, I think that that's definitely a big step up on that and would be perfectly doable. I've got lots of those parts, but maybe we could go for something a bit more naturalistic rather than kind of man-made. And if we go for that, maybe we could use these kind of rock elements. These, I would say they're big ugly rock elements, but I'm not sure that these actually are the big ugly rock pieces. If we go for something like that, you know, need to be raised up a bit. Probably I've used some light bluish grey down here, but not sure that's quite as good as that. But you know, it's okay. Definitely if I didn't want this to be man-made, it's a route I could go for. But actually, because we've got this little bit here in the IKEA box, I can actually clip small amounts of Lego there, so I can use some studs not on top kind of plates. These have been built up with some bricks in between, etc. And I can stick that right there. That means I can actually build something which isn't just studs on top, and that's why I've got this plate. So this is a plate, I think you can see, kind of been built up, lots of detailing on there, looks a lot more kind of naturalistic, and I can actually attach that just there. I would need more of these studs not on top plates to make sure it's properly securely attached here, but I could do that there. I could actually use some of the rock pieces, so I could raise this up. This is a 16 by 16 plate. If I put these rock pieces just down there, they'd need to be attached properly. I can actually build something that looks a bit like that, and I think that this might be the route that I go down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you just how I can build up a plate like this. Do it as a quick speed build, and you should be able to see the techniques that I've used. Okay, so when building this plate, try not to set a lot of fixed rules other than one, which is that the plate needed to start off thicker at the bottom and then taper off towards the end, and just for consistency between the plates so they marry up. And that's because we want to show this as kind of an earthy cliff face, so that's always going to start off thicker at the bottom and taper off at the top. Other than that, the only things that I really set out were the kind of colour palette that I wanted to use. So I've gone for these kind of earthy colours, but also wanted to use that lime green for a bit of a pop. Used lots of different shapes of plates so that it comes across as really organic, and also a few slopes as well. And then of course those leaf vegetation style elements as well. I think that the end product looks pretty good, but of course the real test is getting it affixed and seeing what it looks like then. I think you could see as I was building there that it's very much an iterative process, so trial and error, just seeing what kind of fits and feels right. It's not that I wanted to make this plate exactly the same as this plate, similar style, and like I say, trying to use that lime green rather than just kind of the more muddy colours, just to give it a bit of a pop and make the city a bit different. Although, like I say, I didn't want to make this exactly the same as that plate, there are still some rules that I follow. So in terms of the kind of depth of it, you can see it definitely gets thicker at the bottom and then tapers off as we get towards the top, and it's the same with both plates. The reason for that is they are going to sit beside each other just like this, so I want them to kind of merge into each other, and I think that that is exactly what we see here. But let's get it placed in the city and see what it looks like up against the side of the IKEA boxes, see how well it covers them. Back over to the Chinatown section of the city then, you can see I've affixed that plate, or those two plates, to the side of here, and that's affixed in two places, here in that recessed bit of the IKEA box, and also just at the top here, again with the studs not on top plates, just there. So the problem that we do have though is they're 16 by 16 plates, and this is taller than 16 studs high, plus I've given it a couple more studs height just so minifigs can't go plummeting off the side of here. So still need to sort this bit out, and at the moment you can see that we've got some blank table space. But what I've done is I've actually built this plate here, which should slide right underneath there. And all this is using some studs not on top again, much thinner than these, so a lot less parts intensive. And you can see I've just got effectively a couple of plates affixed to those studs not on top plates, sat on top of some plates, and then tiled it off. And also what you might be able to see is we've got some translucent blue tiles all along here so that we can continue the river that we've got just there. And that all fits exactly right. I have measured this up, I have tested this, and this should slide right in underneath the facade. Once the plate's down, it should do it. There we go. So Now we've got a full facade, got a bit of depth to it, and I don't think it looks too bad. Next things to do, definitely to build that river up. I don't know if I've got quite enough translucent blue tiles. I don't think you can ever have enough of those. If ever you see them on the pick a brick wall at Lego, I would definitely advise picking them up. That's actually in store. If you pick them up from the website, it's pretty expensive. It turns out that I did have enough of those translucent blue pieces, so I got on with building the river straight away, and also the river bank and stuff as well. The lily pads and the kind of lily flowers are parts that I had with the botanical garden set, the Friends set, and because I bought 2 of those in order to mirror it and enclose it, it meant I had some left over, so I thought this was as good an opportunity as any to use those. I think it looks pretty nice and definitely better than just a straight river with no kind of detailing. Expensive. The other thing I do want to do, at the moment we've just got buildings and stuff just kind of sat on top of here, but let's try and make it look a bit more like a Chinatown section of the city, and I'm going to try to build some strings of lanterns just like that, just like we've got in the Spring Lantern Festival and on top of the Chinese restaurant. I've got the parts for that, so get those strung up at least along the front of here, and once you've got that facade and those lanterns, I think that even without the buildings in place, should actually start to look like a Chinatown. Anyway, I'm going to get onto that right now. What I'm looking to do is create a few more of these strings of lanterns, and what you might notice is they are pretty tall, and the reason for that are these floats that we're going to have going down the street, so it does need to have clearance for that. I don't mind if it just clips the lanterns, but definitely can't do anything more than kind of brush past them. But yeah, I've got the parts, so I'm going to get a load of those built, and then it should start to look like a proper Chinatown section of the city. Once I got these built, I thought it did look better if they were just in black, but I didn't quite have all the pieces that I needed. Once the buildings are actually in place there, it might be that we can string these across from building to building rather than have to sit on poles anyway. Okay, that's a bit more like it. So I've built up a few of those strings of lanterns. You can see that all the way back through there. And this one at the front is just a bit lower than the others, but that's fine because the float shouldn't go under that anyway, otherwise they're plummeting to their doom. And this is looking a bit more like a Chinatown. Bear in mind the sets are just sitting on top of the boxes as it stands, they're not actually placed, and we do still have that problem where there's just more give in the middle here. So sometimes I'm finding that, you know, stuff that is technically the same height is almost sitting a full plate lower when we move into the middle of the boxes because of that springiness, that give. But I'll think about how I can solve that. I think the ideal thing is actually not to use the boxes, but massively more expensive in terms of parts. Of course, we've built the facade for this side and also detailed up that river. What I do need to do for the river here is actually build some kind of tunnel to show the water going underneath and underneath the track, and I think that should be straightforward enough. Of course, still haven't done the facade for this side, just got these temporary ones there for the moment, so they're 3 different designs. And actually, I think it won't just be a facade, I think it will be something where I actually build up a load of plates, stacking them, and build some kind of walkway all the way up to here, so like a hillside trail. But either way, that's to come in the future, and at least now we've got something that's more comparable to the rest of the city sitting over here, rather than it just being completely a construction site. So pretty pleased with that. In terms of the facades, let me know what you think of this. Obviously I showed you the kind of technique of building it up. Do you think it actually looks decent, or should I just not bother with quite so much of the work and go for something more like the masonry brick facade there. I think that looks perfectly good. It's just this is a bit more interesting. But yeah, let me know in the comments below, and hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, then please do leave a like, and if you're subscribed already, thank you very much. And if you're not subscribed and want to see more of this, see how it comes on, think about hitting the subscribe button. It's really appreciated. But as ever, be good.